welcome to another episode of Spiritual Superpowers. This is Dawn, I'm Karen, and we have
a bit of a sad episode.
A sad one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My mom sadly passed away a few days ago, and I wanted to share some of the experiences that I had leading up to her passing, as well as looking for the signs to connect with me and let me know that she's okay. My mom had a long battle with lots of different types of illnesses, vitritis, rheumatic fever, transverse myelitis, and in the end, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So she'd been in and out of the hospital for about 12 years, and the woman had like 9 lives. She always pushed through. She was such a fighter. And when my mom would be in the hospital, about a year and a half ago, for instance, with COVID, we couldn't go in and see her. And when she's in the hospital, it's usually that she can't move. She's almost like quadriplegic. Or when that happens, her diaphragm doesn't work properly, and she can't really get enough force to be able to speak. So she also can't speak. So it's not like we can just talk to her on the phone and say, how are you doing?
Right.
What I did was I started doing remote viewing, and I would go and visit her in the hospital.
Yes.
And it let me know what was going on with her and make sure that everything's okay, since we weren't able to communicate with her.
Right. And you did the remote viewing for me when I had my surgeries, right?
So yes. Yeah.
We'll put a little link.
Okay, yeah. It's this neat ability that I have where I can kind of go into a meditative state, and it's almost like astral projection where I can actually go and see what's going on. Well, I do this when my mom's in the hospital, and normally when I go, she's usually just like, oh, Dawn, I'm just resting. Dawn, I'm just sleeping. Dawn, I'm just getting stronger. Like, like no problem. Lots of reassurance that everything's fine. Makes me feel a lot more comfortable. And then this time, luckily, she was allowed 1 visitor a day for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So my dad and I alternated. And the days that I couldn't go see her, I would tune in remotely. And the one day I tuned in, and she was actually starting to transition. Yeah. And I'd never experienced that before. And what was so interesting, she looked so beautiful. And it's like, I get that I've never seen my mom in this light before because we've never been there, but like I really had never seen her look so beautiful. And it reminded me of, when she was very vibrant and had that vitality. It's been a long time since she's had that. So it was really amazing. The tears were coming down. I was just like overwhelmed with how beautiful she looked. And of course saddened by the fact that this is the first time I've seen her start to transition.
And did you realize at that point?
I did, because I've seen other people in hospitals and clinics. I can see it almost looks like a white smoke or like something coming out of them when they're starting to transition. So I've seen that quite a few times, and so this felt very similar. And then the next day I went to go visit her, and wouldn't you know, she was right back in her body. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I imagined it. Maybe she just came back, because it really was such a painful time for her in the hospital. That I believe sometimes when you're in that kind of physical pain, it brings you back.
Right.
So I figured, okay, she's back in her body. She was in ICU for a week, and she was kind of like getting a little bit better and then a little bit worse, getting, like it was really kind of like a seesaw. And at this point, she had just gotten about 5% better. The doctor had said, they're going to try something else. So the next morning I tune in, because it's a day that I don't get to go. And I wanted to see how the treatment was going. And she was just, again, starting to transition. But when I talked to her about it, she was so scared. She was so scared of dying. She was scared of what happens. She was scared to leave, my brother, my dad, her family. She was scared to leave and the actual act of transitioning. So
and I think that's most people, right?
Yeah. So I actually connected through mediumship to my grandmother and my mom's dad, my grandfather.
On the other side.
And I brought them forward and kind of connected my mom's soul to them. And it was almost like they were reaching to her to say, like, we've got you, like, come with us. And you could feel, or I could feel the calmness come over her and the anxiety going away, and just it really helped to connect her. It was almost like a connection, a bridge to the other side. And that I came out of meditation once I felt like she was able to maybe start transitioning again, because I just wanted her to be free of this body and out of pain and not suffering. It was so hard to watch her go through this. So when I felt like she had kind of reconnected with her parents, I came out, I looked at the clock, it was 9 o'clock. So I'd been in there for maybe an hour. My dad calls me, I think about 9:45, and tells me that at 10 after 9, she started to decline. And he got a call to come into the hospital. And when he arrived, sure enough, she really wasn't doing well. So then I went, and we were with her, and we decided to, allow her to transition, because the machines that she was on.
She was basically being kept alive by machine.
Yeah, in a not very comfortable way. The machines were not nice. We decided to make her more comfortable. But it was kind of interesting how I come out of a meditation at 9 o'clock, having just kind of convinced her, like, it's safe to go. We're going to be okay. We love you. We can talk. I said, Mom, we can talk anytime. I'll make sure, I promise to take care of my brother and my dad, like all this stuff, meeting her parents again. And then 10 minutes later, she starts to show signs on the machines that she is declining. So my dad and I got to be there with her as she passed. And it was just so much relief to see her not suffer anymore. But with that comes, now she's on the other side. It's only been a couple of days. And from what we understand, it takes some time to get used to not having a body, not having a voice. So I've kind of just let her be, but a lot of times they'll try and connect with us. And some of the signs that I've found that she has sent me was definitely 444.
Oh.
Yeah. Leading up to it, I could tell that my grandmother was kind of sending 444, which was another hint that maybe this time would be different. She wouldn't be coming home. But since then, absolutely, tons of 444s. Even this morning, I'm lying in bed, and there's no clock around me. I have to actually sit up, turn, and look to see a clock. Yeah. And I'm laying there, and I get told, I get the idea, look at the clock. And I was like, oh, it's probably 4:44. And I'd sit up, look, sure enough, it's 4:44. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. And we'll link to another episode we did on signs from the universe.
Yes.
Where we also got some messages about 444.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. It lets us know that our loved ones on the other side are doing okay.
Yeah.
I've also, I was just sitting thinking of her, and then I got smacked with one of those wishes right in my heart.
Yes.
So I picked it up, blew it. And I have to look into this, and I'll let people know afterwards, or I'll make a comment below, but I expected cardinals.
Okay.
I'm getting so many swallows.
Oh.
And I thought, that's unusual. Like, I've never known of that. Like, swallows everywhere, swarming, like. And then I think I'm going to have to ask my aunt and my cousin. My aunt and my mom, when I was really young, did Girl Guide leader. And my aunt's name was Dove. And I think my mom's name was Swallow.
Really?
I think so. I have to look if it's Sparrow or Swallow, but I'm going to find out, because I'm wondering if that's why I'm seeing swallows.
So just a quick update. As it turns out, yes, my mom's Girl Guide leader name was Swallow, and I found this on the internet. It's more common to see swallows as a sign of the dearly departed. If your loved one died recently, you might start seeing a swallow all over the place. The bird could be a sign letting you know that they're close to you, bringing you comfort and reassurance.
But let's talk about the other sign that your mom sent you, because this was kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I'm preparing my tiny house to have a guest. And as I'm walking to the tiny house, there's 2 balloons, helium balloons, floating with their strings at human level, like say 6 feet, coming across the lawn towards me.
out of nowhere. I'm on a 12-acre farm.
A farm.
In farmland, in farm community.
So there's not like, it's not like there's a fair going on, down the road or anything that could explain it.
Yeah, none at all. It just happened. It appeared. And so I instantly thought, oh my God, Mom, how cool is that you're doing this with the balloons?
Right.
So I run over and I grab them. And then I thought, oh, well, let's do a video for this episode so that I can show everyone what it looked like. So I got my phone and I went back to the same spot, tossed the balloons, turned on the video to record, and the balloons just sank down to the grass. There was no life to them at all. I kept trying. No, every single time they went down. There was no way for me to recreate what my mom had done. And to me, that just confirms that it was my mom.
Right, right.
And then I took the balloons and attached them onto my terrace. And they were like all tangled, together. They were tied together. And then after a couple of hours, I went inside the house and one balloon floated all around the house through the windows and then off into the field. Like it floated away, but it wasn't floating before. When I tried to recreate it, it didn't float. So, and it's just like 14 feet above ground.
Just
I
crazy.
know, just amazing. So, and then you had a similar experience with your sister-in-law, Mandy. So,
yeah. What happened was she passed away and there was a memorial for her. And at the memorial, there was this flower arrangement, a lot of flower arrangements, but there was one with this big balloon. And it was kind of odd to see that arrangement. But there was a note with it. So I went to read it, and the person who sent the flower arrangement explained on this note that what happened was she was a close friend of Mandy's, and when she heard of Mandy's passing, she was really sad. So went out for a walk, and she looked up in the sky, and there was this helium balloon, and she's watching it, and it floated right down into her hands.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
So she included the balloon in this arrangement.
Oh.
And so when you told me about this with your mom, it was like such a sign. And so I kind of thought, what does that sign mean? I never thought about it before. Until,
no, I don't think it was very common. Like, it's not, we hear about feathers, we hear about dimes, we hear about electricity.
But when I start to Google it a little bit, it's actually a lot more common than you would think. Maybe not as common as the other things, but it's a symbol of the joy and, childlike energy that they're feeling right now.
Good.
Right? So I was just in awe when you told me that story. It's so amazing when you get those connections and those messages from spirit in unexpected ways.
Yeah, and really good timing too.
One thing I kind of wanted to talk about, because I do this with animal communication, is when an animal is passing, I call in all the angels to come and assist with a peaceful transition. And I know you did that with your mom as well. So you can do that for people and animals. So what I find is it just brings a little bit of peace, because it's a stressful situation when, leading up to that, and that leading up to any passing, for a person or animal. And so I love that you did that.
And I was lucky enough that with my mom being able to connect her to her parents, that made all the difference. That calmed her down, made everything a lot more smoother for the transition. Yeah, so something to do. And we can just even say, you can call them in without actually being able to cognizantly connect with them, right?
Right.
But,
just call them in. Just say the words. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
You don't have someone that really doesn't even feel a connection to angels can just call them in by saying the words.
Yeah. So always feel free to call them in. We hope that if you are grieving and wondering about your loved ones, that maybe you can look for some of the signs. And really, it's whenever something happens and you think, I wonder if that's so and so. Then
It always is.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So embrace it, enjoy it, because it feels good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this helps some of you out there if you're grieving, and look for those signs. And subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode, and we'll see you sometime soon.
Okay.